now. I think that's working. Let me see if I can confirm that. Yep, we're live.
Good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Christmas Eve debate. We're going to be debating libertarian guardianship theory. I just want to give a brief introduction to the history of this topic. It began with Murray Rothbard in Ethics of Liberty, where he laid out his ethics in general, and especially how it applies to children in one chapter. And his position was that since there can be no positive obligations, parents don't have obligations to their children, and so they can just let them die if they want to, and somebody else can take over, but there's no obligation one way or the other. And therefore, abortion, under Rothbard's view, is legal. Then we go to Walter Block, who takes the opposite view through this mechanism of forestalling he comes up with. His view is that the conflict isn't between parent and child, it's between parent and another potential guardian. So as soon as the parent starts acting or stops acting in order to take care of the child, he loses guardianship. Anybody else can come in. So you can imagine somebody like standing outside the door, knocking on the door, and his parent just has the child in, not feeding him. He's just slowly starving to death, won't open the door. So Walter Block uses this to say this is an aggression, not against the child. It's an aggression against the guy knocking on the door who wants to take over. And I agree with that largely, with some alterations of my own, which I don't think are germane to this debate we're having right now. And the theory I'm debating, which comes after mine, is G's theory, which my opponent here will lay out shortly. G himself declined to debate, and so this will be in absentia. We'll be evaluating his theory. So go ahead, take over, Zetetik.
Yes, it's quite shorter than I said, I think. I'd start almost like syllogistically. Use is defined. I can hear myself. Sorry. Can you?
Yeah, I can mute.
All right. Use is defined as means structured towards ends, and conflict is defined as mutually exclusive uses. That's my definition. I think it integrates well with G's theory. The child is using his body by virtue of being alive. Thus, the child can come into conflict, and thus the child can aggress and be aggressed against. A mother becomes a natural guardian of the child at conception. The mother is the first comer of her property, including the womb. Guardianship is a right to use or control the child's body for the child's sake. When the unrealized will of the child is being preserved, there is no trespass or conflict. Conflict arises only from mutually exclusive uses, not from the mother's preference. When the guardianship is withdrawn in fact by action or neglect, the child's continued presence becomes trespass. Refusing both continued guardianship and eviction constitutes forestalling, because both available resolution of the conflict are blocked. Since the mother is the first comer of the property, the child is the latecomer in this conflict, and therefore is the aggressor in the technical sense. Defense against aggression permits eviction. Physical contact with the child is licit only insofar as it is necessary to effect exclusion, as in the gentleness principle. Defensive force is proportional only if it removes the aggression without creating a new independent conflict. Proportionality requires that eviction restore exclusive use of the property while preserving the preserving the child's right against aggression, which means removal to another guardian rather than destruction or abandonment. Defense must terminate the trespass without causing harm beyond what is necessary for exclusion. Abandoning a child foreseeably causes severe harm or death, so it exceeds proportional defense and constitutes aggression. Eviction that foreseeably causes harm is disproportional and therefore not defensive. I'm finished.
All right, let's see, where should we start here? Now, you have a different definition of conflict than the normal one that Zulu has, for example. You say mutually exclusive uses, whereas he would say mutually exclusive action. I'm wondering if that distinction is the sticking point here, or if we can use
because
either one.
I can hear. Okay, I can hear myself again, I think. Yeah. Okay, so so G's is basically in agreement with me on this, except I disagree in his terminology. Really, he's saying like your property is part of your action. Basically, I think is nonsense. Really, what I think he should say instead is just there are. You have set the uses towards some end. But only that action is active, that you are interacting with it, basically. But use is can like be without your conscious awareness of it, or
Okay.
It doesn't have.
So if we have like somebody passed out in the snow, this is my favorite example because he passes into the legal standard of childhood. Would you say like he passes out on somebody's front lawn? Is he now in a conflict with the owner of that lawn, even though he's not intending to be there? And if he were awake, he would have no problem with somebody moving him off the lawn.
Yeah, he would be in conflict with that because his body is his use of his body. There's no action, like he's not acting there. In my view, is conflicting with the use of that piece of lawn of the property owner. So it's a conflict in that sense.
Now, I would say there is no conflict because you can just move him away, and he's not opposing that. Like, there's no will opposed to your will to move him away. So, but I see how your set of definitions produces the opposite effect. So let's follow your definitions and see where those take us. So we'll say, according to that, there is a conflict here between mother and child. Now, your next point is to resolve that conflict. What was your next point? I missed this part.
It's multi-layered, basically. It is a trespass. So that your exclusion, you have the right to like touch the child or like fist, lift the child away, right? In the gentlest means possible. This is justified because it is an aggression, and you can use defense against an aggression. There's obviously no mens rea, so there's no. Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah.
So then let's make it concrete. We have a case of a child who's been born to a single mother in the middle of the woods, because we're abstracting away from all the variables, other potential guardians, just to see if we have a conflict without anybody else there. So let's say the mother has a shack in the middle of the woods, and she doesn't want to take care of this child anymore. She just wants to leave him alone. He's just crying on the floor, and she leaves him there to die. Where is the conflict?
Yeah, so the child. So like in that case, the mother is like the natural guardian. So let me just read my notes. So like first, like the action of trying to exclude. No, sorry. All right. Can you repeat? Sorry.
Yeah, so if in this hypothetical, is it the case that because the child is using some of the room in that shack, that he's in conflict with her, even though I presuppose she doesn't mind. She doesn't mind that he's using that space in her shack. She doesn't mind his crying. She just doesn't want to take care of him. So where's the conflict?
Yeah, good question. Sorry, I'm prepared, but like I'm sleepy, but yeah. Again, I was stressing. Oh, sorry. This is embarrassing. I guess I can just read part of my opening statement if that's okay by you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So when the unrealized will of the child is being preserved, there is no trespass or conflict. Conflict arises only from mutual exclusive uses, not from mother's preference. When guardianship is withdrawn, in fact, by action or neglect, the child's continued presence becomes trespass. Refusing both continued guardianship and eviction constitutes forestalling. Because available resolution of the conflict are blocked. Since the mother is the first comer of the to the property, the child is the latecomer in this. Like when she is excluding, is in acting to exclude the baby. There's a conflict there, like before it's already abandoned. So in that case, it has to be defensive. Like there's a trespass and the child is aggressing against the mother because the mother is the first comer of her property and the child is the latecomer. Yeah.
Well, he's a latecomer to the shack.
And it has to be, and then it has to be proportional. That's the thing. Sorry, what did you say?
Well, we can get into proportionality in a minute, but I'm still questioning the fact that there is a conflict here, even under your definition, because I can see your point if the mother doesn't want him in the shack. So if she gave birth, she doesn't want him in the shack anymore. Now, under your definition, there's a conflict. But if she doesn't mind him being in the shack, this is the whole that's in the theory. If she is okay with everything the child's doing, she has no other use of the property other than the one the child is using for it, then there's no conflict.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, so like the child, there's only not a conflict when the child's will is being preserved. That's the point, and all other times it's not. Even so like it's you're both controlling the baby by the fact it is being on your property, and yeah, you're not evicting him. You're not doing eviction fully. Sorry, finally tracked there. That's the let exclusion stand. I have not read about the let exclusion stand, but I think I get the concept at least in this context.
Okay, so the conflict is not over the use of her shack or her living space. It's over the use of the child's body, and the child wants to be preserved, and then the mother does not want to preserve him.
You don't know the child's wants until it's adult, to be clear. But that's
Okay, so then we're using your definition of use. So the child is using his body in order for his body to
Yeah.
be preserved. The mother is controlling his body in order for it not to be preserved.
Yes, indeed. You made an argument for me. Thank you. I mean, like, I'm bad at. Okay, whatever.
Okay,
Sorry,
now, my problem here is that I don't think she's making use of his body at all in this case. Because how
Well, it is on like so like it is okay. So that brings in the donut homestead type thing. So you have this property that is yours, and then you have the baby. The baby is it is not owned by the mother. So there's a hole in her homestead. It's not a unowned. It is owned by the child. But yeah. So basically, but it is embordering. You are embordering the child without a legitimate title to the child.
Okay, so the problem is she's erecting this barrier, the shack, around the child, and then that is controlling him. Now, my problem with this is I think in order for this to constitute forestalling, it has to, in order for there to be a donut here, there has to be something relevant outside the donut. So you imagine like the example of dropping a cage on somebody. Why is this an aggression? It's because there's something outside the cage that the guy who just got the cage dropped on him was trying to get to. And so he's having this barrier erected between him and the thing on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you imagine like the cage being around the entire universe somehow, we take this giant cage and we drop it around the whole universe. Or you can imagine like we're in a Minecraft world and we go to the edge of the world and we build a fence around the edge of the world. We're not actually committing aggression here. There has to be something.
Yeah, because
on the other side.
you can't. Okay, I see what you mean. Actually, that's smart. Yeah, I don't think it's an argument against it though. I mean, you can expand on it. I see what you mean though, but yeah, you can expand on it.
So then, if we go back to the case of the mother and the child in the shack, what is on the outside of the shack that the child is being prevented from?
Yeah. So I don't frame it that way. Like as like I see like the child is wants to be okay. I'm not sure, but the child wants to be preserved. You could say like it is. Yeah. It's like it's not going to go outside. I think I wrote something on this in notes, but let's see.
Take your time. It's more important that we get precise questions than having something right away.
Yes. I can I just also just share my opening statement with you in Discord, so like we both see it.
Yeah, sure.
There. I have also some other notes. Just look over them. I also looked through all your paper today, so.
The options I see are either like it's either a physical thing, either there's something we're using the shack as a barrier, or we're not, and the forestalling you're claiming is something more like we're forestalling the child from being taken care of, like a non-physical kind of thing.
Yeah. I think G also said that, so yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, but that actually is similar to yours. I'm not sure that is G's position though. I think he puts it a different way. Because that leads into your theory basically that you're forestalling from other guardians basically. but except it's from the perspective of the child, basically. I think.
Yeah, well,
but that is not G's position.
so if it's not the physical barrier, and it's not my theory, which is we're not actually preventing the child from doing anything, we're preventing somebody else from coming to care for the child, then what is left? What is left for you to defend?
Not exactly sure what you mean, but you're defending it against the child who is technically the aggressor.
No. I mean, like, what argumentative ground do you have left to defend? Because we said there's no physical barrier here, and you can't take my position because then you'd concede the debate. So where are you at this point?
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to state this. I think I just track a few points, and the one thing I'm going to say, I think I've said before, but I guess there's something else that I said that maybe we already went over, but just call me out if I'm being circular. So yeah, so like I'm being. I think yeah, I mean, I went over this, but the child, yes, is the aggressor. Do you see why?
You mean in our concrete example or in general?
Yeah, like according to like the framework that presented, the child is the aggressor.
Well, if we take like an abortion case, then I can see if the mother wants the child out of her body, then yeah, I can see that according to your definition.
I mean, like if the mother is not acting as a guardian, but she has the baby in her home, basically.
Then no,
Like
yeah,
when she.
then if the baby's in her home and she wants it gone, then she could just pick him up and put him outside the home, and I guess there would be a conflict for a minute or two, but in the hypothetical I brought up, which is the mother actually doesn't care if the child is starving to death on the floor, then no, there's no conflict.
Okay, so like I would say, I'd say it's a conflict because like also an aggression because it is. Oh yeah, yeah, with the conflict. Yeah, okay. Sorry. I'm disappointed in my sleepiness. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Well, just fuck. I'm sorry, man. You can repeat what you said last?
Sure. So we have, if you want, we can take another hypothetical, which is what happens in the case where the mother really does want him out of her property.
Yeah. Also, I would also clarify that it's not that she wants. Like I wouldn't say conflicts are defined by wants. They are defined by mutual exclusivity of uses. So male in the moral, like internally not wanting the child there, is not a conflict. The conflict is created when there's an act constituting harm.
Yeah, okay. So if she's trying to, or if she is using her shack in order to do something that the child, like if she wants peace and quiet in her shack and she's using the shack for that purpose, the child is using the shack in order to cry and making a lot of noise, then we have a conflict.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, let me even take that case, although we still have the previous hypothetical, which you have not stood your ground on, but let's leave that to the side for now. If we have this conflict now, the child crying on the floor, she's using the shack for peace and quiet. We have a conflict. Now let's go to the next part, which is defense. She uses force to bring the child out of her shack and maybe a mile away so she can't hear him anymore. Why is this impermissible?
Yeah. So like my my justification there was the conflict thing, yeah, again. So she's like the child is the aggressor because it's latecomer, and that justifies exclusion, but only as only as defense. There's no other, other right, no other legal way to do it other than as a justification, like defensive justification. And defensive, it has to be proportional to like the aggression. So it has to be backed on our guardian. That's the point he makes.
Proportional in what sense? Because the regular theory of proportionality in libertarian law is in punishment. So if the defense is over, you've successfully defended yourself. Now you have the right to punishment in proportion to the original aggression. However, we're not talking about punishment. We're just talking about defense. So how does proportionality matter in defense itself?
Very good question. I asked. Also, okay. I will just say we can move on to something different. I'm sorry. I really wanted to defend G's position. It was very fun. I learned a lot. I just want to say, but I definitely need to learn more. I asked him to do a VC, and he wanted to maybe do that, but he didn't do that to now. But maybe later I'll get to talk to more to him. I would also like to comment on many things that you had in your article. If that's okay, if we change the debate to that, if you want.
Yeah, I just want to wrap up the proposition first because I had a few more things to hammer on.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I made my point about defense. Let me just say this more forthrightly. Even if there is an aggression, defense does not have to be proportional to the crime. Defense can exceed the force of the crime. Picture like somebody stole your money, he's running off with it. How much force can you use? As much force as necessary to put a stop to it.
Yeah, but yeah. I was thinking maybe mens rea had some had some effect there. Does it on your theory?
What do you mean?
Like if there's no mens rea, like if there's someone, like so if someone just like fell onto your yard, you don't. Okay, so like it as necessary, like so there has to be gentleness principle there, but like if it's like if he won't stop right, you can use any means basically necessary, or not any means, but like well, kind of.
I would say any means necessary. Like if somebody is running off with your money, and the only way to stop them is by shooting him, you can shoot him in order to get your money back. The difference is if you're actually not shooting him to get your money back. You're shooting him in order to hurt him because you're mad at him. Now this is something.
Yeah. And in the case of the baby, there's no mens rea, so in that case, it can't be any means necessary. It has to be proportional to the crime, and it has to be gentle.
Now, I disagree with that because let's say somebody's running off with your money. He didn't know it's yours, but the fact remains he ran off with your money. What can you do in order to defend this? Whatever is necessary. Now, normally, a lot less force would be necessary because as soon as you tell him, like, hey, that's not your money, like you have to exhaust that. If there's no mens rea,
okay, well, interesting.
Verbal thing.
Okay, now I'm thinking from like my theory, like what's like in the case of like out in nature, if you just a mother and a child, no one else exists. Like what's necessary in that case, I suppose, would be just full on eviction. But I'm thinking again from like, but like I don't have it like as clear as I'd hoped for. I thought I had it clear this theory. But apparently not. But yeah.
Sorry, do you want to go back to mother and child, or you just interjected there? I'm not sure where you want to go.
Oh, sorry. It's probably because I'm sleepy. But yeah, you can continue. I'm sorry if.
Okay, so even when there's no mens rea, and the conflict is a misunderstanding, the standard is still minimum necessary force. There's no proportionality. So say somebody is stepping on your toe by accident, and the only way, let's say he is deaf and blind, and the only way to get him off your toe is to give him a shove. And let's say the shove is more force than stepping on your toe. Doesn't matter. It's minimum necessary force.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I see that. That does make sense. Yeah.
Okay, now let me tie this in. This is why, in G's theory, when he says you have to have proportional punishment to the child aggressor. The child is aggressing by taking up your living space, and so you can evict him, but you have to evict him proportionally, and that requires evicting him to another guardian. And if there's no guardian, you can't evict him. This is just nonsense because we're taking minimum necessary force. And so if there's nobody no other guardians even on planet Earth, there is like the necessity would be to evict him to no other guardian.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I mean, I see it. I don't see any direct flaws with that at the moment, so yeah.
Okay, I'm reading the rest of my notes here to see if there's one more point. Nope, that's it. That's all my points. I think we've wrapped that up.
Cool. Can I move on to attacking your theory?
Sure, go ahead.
So like the most important thing that I noticed is that you say like a child cannot be in conflict. But that makes no sense because you're talking about law. Law is the study of conflicts. So like it has to have something to do with conflicts.
In what situation?
Like let's say you're just neglecting the child.
So you're neglecting the child. I say the child's not in conflict, and you say that doesn't make sense because we're talking about law, and law is about conflicts. I don't see how that follows.
This is libertarian law theory, right?
Yeah,
so
but
it has to.
Part of law theory is also talking about when there's no. It falls outside the purview of the theory. Like we can use libertarian law theory to say that some things are not conflicts.
Sure.
Like we can say, because we have this understanding of what a conflict is, we can say for sure that me and you having this debate right now is not a conflict.
Okay, so this is like one important point, like a reductio of your theory. Suppose there's only a mother and a child, only ones on Earth, in the world. Since you cannot come into conflict with a child, you can just do whatever to the child.
Okay, that's your reductio. So no, I hold that you can come into the conflict with the child, but only with respect to the child's body itself. There's no need to feed him. There's no positive duty for care. You can put him outside, put him anywhere, but you can't go and attack him, physically damage him. So I do think there are conflicts, but just not in the sphere we were talking about.
Okay, but I think I saw or read that you said, I can't see if I can pull it up. Where was it? I can just find your link. Oh, I actually saved it in G's channel. All right, just find it. As a child cannot yet express his will, he is unable to consent to anything. So the concept of aggression becomes meaningless. So this is just in one respect. It's like you're not saying like you cannot ever come into conflict with a child there. Like this is in the start of chapter 4 of the paper.
Yeah, so you're right. As it's written, that's imprecise, but the shape of it is there's nothing that's illicit as long as you preserve what he's going to inherit, which is his body and mind and the integrity of his body and mind as a human being up until the point where he transitions into adulthood. So you can imagine this like a child just grew up. He just became an adult. Now he wants to sue his parents for what they did to him for child abuse. Now, looking retrospectively back on it, we can ask what possible things can we say are conflicts with this
Okay.
now adult. So we're thinking about it in anticipation of the future adult.
Yeah, so it's retroactively a conflict, you could say, in a sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have some other points. Okay, on corporal punishment, I don't see corporal punishment as licit at all. I would only say it's licit if like the child like aggressed in some sense. Like that's my immediate thoughts. I haven't like super studied this corporal punishment thing, but can you expand on corporal
Yeah, so
punishment?
so I hold corporal punishment is like non-permanent damage. It's very purposeful and polite. It's not wildly attacking, wildly beating. It's designed in order to not leave any lasting damage. However, the caveat is there psychological damage here? If there is, then you can make a case for it not being allowed. But what a lot of libertarians do, like Stefan Molyneux does this, is he just takes it off the table before we even prove that like there's always going to be psychological damage for any form of corporal punishment. So you actually have to make the case for that, and he doesn't, and nobody else does. So you can't just assume that there's going to be damage here, and thus you can't take it off the table.
Okay. Okay, I see. I see. I don't have anything on that, but so there was some more thing. This is not directly related to the theory of children, but it's in your paper, so I'm going to include it. So like this is something from Hoppe on note 7. Libertarianism does not preclude establishment of rules in addition to the non-aggression principle, provided that they are mutually agreed to by all relevant parties. Any rules that all may be established, even ones that libertarians vociferously reject when imposed by states. In this way, a libertarian society would come to resemble the variety of forums, platforms, and servers on the internet, with each one having its own set of rules that must be followed by users, rather than a libertine paradise where people could engage in any behaviors which are not directly forbidden by the NAP. So I would just say like the rules have to be in respect to someone's property, and this just reduces all actions that are permissible. This just reduces to all actions that are permissible by the non-aggression principle. So I don't see the reason for this distinction.
Well, what I was saying is when we're talking about things like what are you allowed to do with children, and if we just follow the NAP, we have a very, very slim set of restrictions. And lots of people would want more restrictions. We would want more protections. And it's possible to create this, but you would have to create what Hoppe calls covenant community, or a contractual neighborhood or contractual society where everybody in it agrees that they're bound by these rules. And then you can create all sorts of lovely things like children have to be educated, and if you don't educate your children, then you give them up. You have to give them up to somebody else. Stuff like that.
Okay. Right. But in that sense, like it is, if it's like a contract, if you break the contract, I'm not strong on my contract theory, but is that aggression necessarily if you like violate a contract?
No, but I actually wrote this before I understood contract theory completely, so it might not be up
Okay.
to speed. But yeah, in the example I just gave, if you have this contract where with everyone in the community or with the owner of the community or whoever, and you say, if I ever neglect to educate my children according to such and such standards, I hereby revoke guardianship over them, and everyone else can take this child from me. So, and
Yeah,
there wouldn't be
okay.
aggression, but you would transfer guardianship.
Okay. I have some something else. I'll try to see if I can. I don't know if I have a note on it, but regarding like notification and like forestalling other guardians, I see some issue with this. There, sorry, just think for a bit. Yeah, so like the potential guardians have not homesteaded anything, so I wouldn't say they have any claim to anything in respect to someone else's neglected child.
So let's come up with an example to make it more concrete. So, are you saying if we have the mother in the shack, and let's say there are people on Earth, but they don't know about this, like they're a few miles away, they don't know what's happening. Are you saying that how do they have a claim to the child if they don't even know he exists?
Yeah, because I see it as you have to homestead the guardianship. You can't just yeah, like just being a potential guardian does not give you a claim to it. I would say you have to homestead it actively. Like you have to act in order to to preserve it. You can like break into their home if they are like neglecting them and forestalling them, and then your action of going in there and preserving the child, taking the child out, that's preserving it, part of it at least. That would be yeah, that would be yeah, homesteading is the right of guardianship over the child. Other than that, I don't see any claim to God or child.
So I agree with you, and this is where Walter Block gets a little dubious when he's talking about information barriers that constitute forestalling. Like you have a duty to let the world know that you're no longer caring for this child, because if you don't say anything, then you're forestalling. And we can imagine, like, say you live on top of a giant mountain, and to get down off the mountain is incredibly risky, and you'll probably die. And then you give birth to a child on top of this mountain, and there's no cell phone service, no satellites. So the only way to let people know is to risk almost certain death. Do we still have, like, is this still forestalling? And it does get ridiculous. So I think the answer to this is more along the lines of somebody in the wilderness, I don't think has that obligation. However, in the state of the world we have now, it's very easy for people to communicate at vast distances and let people know. Like if we have a adoption agency, they could very easily communicate to the majority of people on Earth of, hey, if you have any unwanted children, if you're abandoning any children, we have a claim here, and we hereby state our claim. And now, if these people already know this and they're still acting to conceal the fact that they have a child, now they're actually making an action that can constitute forestalling. That's where the barrier comes in.
Okay. I'll see if I have anything more. Okay. Yeah, I had some questions that I had prepared, but like I like retracted them when I read more. So like I was like thinking that you thought like adulthood was like in all respects, like when you're adult you're just an adult in all respects, but no, that's not what you say in the article. So like as I see it is like you yeah. So no, sorry, I was just thinking yeah, like I would just ask you yeah, so like you said, like to communicate their will in some respects, that makes them adult, right?
Yep.
Like is it enough, could you say that like it's like in that sense, like it's enough to say that it's just praxeological action in that respect, that is enough? Like or does it have to be more
It's two things.
specific?
It's praxeological action, but it's also making that like known to your parents. It's the same thing where you like how you come to own a piece of land. It's you're intending to use it. You're acting with respect to it, but then you actually have to put up the barrier that tells everybody else that, hey, this is mine and this is the extent of what is mine. So I'd say the same thing is true with the child. The child, it's not enough to just have the internal capacity to act. He also has to then go up to his guardians and negotiate with them and say, hey, you're not allowed, I'm revoking your rights to to pick me up and move me. And one thing that comes up is somebody is trying to cross the street and he doesn't know there's cars and somebody else pulls him back by the hand. And this is not aggression because
That has happened to me. That has happened to me.
because he doesn't know the cars are coming. However, if say you're with your friends and you let your friends know ahead of time, hey, even if there ever comes a time where I'm in mortal danger and I don't see it coming, I don't want you to pull me away. I want to face that risk. Now what he's doing is he's drawing a border, he's drawing a fence around the kind of situation where even though he's not acting, he's already acted on behalf of himself in the future.
Okay, yeah, okay. So two more things. One is I would just like to comment on like the reincarnation thing. I think it was like unnecessary. I get your point, but I don't think it's necessary because it's like how would that happen? Like your mind is connected to your body, like your body. Yeah, that's like one of the key things Ayn Rand, like, or I guess Aristotle. I think also maybe I haven't read Aristotle, but like the integration of mind and body. What was it?
You don't like the reincarnation?
Yeah. I mean, like you don't need that example. I think I had some example in mind, but that could work better. But
yeah,
like, I mean,
I'd have to reread that part. It's been a while, and I don't know if I'm trying to use that to prove anything, or I can just take it out and nothing of value is lost.
yeah, I don't think much of value is lost if you just remove it. I think I see why kind of you do it, like to show like children could have. Well, I need to reread that part actually to remember exactly. But yeah, it's no need to bring in mysticism.
Okay, I'll concede to you on that.
Also, I would say there was many parts I really liked of it. Most of it I really liked. Very good writing, and yeah. Let's see. I'll just read like some things I've written and see if it's relevant. Okay, yeah. So I'll just quote something from your writing. Of course, a guardian does not lose all authority upon the declaration of of his child's will, as long as one wishes to stay with his former guardian and receive his care. he must abide by whatever conditions accompany that agreement. The legal relationship simply morphs into one of what? Oh shit!
Landlord and tenant. Landlord and
Yeah,
tenant.
yeah, but like that was okay. I think I brain farted when I wrote that because I was my response is that's not a guardian anymore. That's just a landlord. I said, but that's just what you said. So, sorry.
Yeah, well, and my point there is that, like, people could think, okay, well, you have this child who's now exercising his will, but he still lives with his parents. And this is what Rothbard's problem was, because he had the theory of runaway self-ownership, is the child's allowed to run away at any time, and the moment he decides to run away or get his own place, then he becomes an adult. It's like, okay, and first of all, you had a much better economy. You could afford to do that back then, Rothbard. Second of all, it's not necessary because we have arrangements of living in somebody else's house without being under his control, under his stewardship, and it's called being a landlord and a tenant. So you would just morph that. Like there's these, we think of like a teenager living with his parents. There's two possibilities. Either he's a tenant right now or he's a child. And
Yeah.
you have to investigate that, but there's no surprises here. Like this fits very well with how we think about these things.
Yes. I think that is the most. I think that is everything. I would just say I would like to maybe months from now, maybe after I've talked more with G and get to fully understand his position and push him to make some writing on this and get something going. I would love to have a new debate with you again, and I'll try to not stress so that I don't sleep because that's my issue.
Well,
Tonight.
see, the problem is G's theory is incorrect, and so even if he tries to publish something that is coherent, it's not going to stand up to scrutiny, and so I think he's going to keep avoiding the debate for that reason, because he would have to be willing to come in here and lose, which I don't think he's willing to do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to your point, I just I see he's right on very many things, and he's doing a lot of good work integrating ecological psychology and that stuff. So that's why I chose mostly to jump on this, but mostly also because it's it seemed unintuitive, and it seemed like he knew what he was talking about. That was why I was very attracted to it. I wanted to know his theory because it seemed hard, and I love to get some new insights into libertarian theory by doing that, and have I think learned some things there. So yeah, that's my motivation. Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to do a round two, if you think of a counter argument or any other topic, yeah, I'm glad to do this again.
Thank you. Yes, can I just say you can find me and such?
Go ahead.
Yes, so you can find me on YouTube. Debate anything. I have a stupid handle that I don't like anymore. Heterodox agnostic. I'm usually in the Zulu streams, talking there and watching all of them, all of the live streams, and also on Twitter. You can always change your mind, and on Discord, logos.zetetikos. I can maybe put them in chat afterwards, maybe. All right.
Well, thank you for coming. Merry Christmas. And
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to our viewers. I don't have the chat open, so I don't know if anyone's saying anything. But maybe I can look at that in retrospect.
Yes. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.